There's this thing that I've noticed about a lot of guys, and I've been guilty of it too. And it's playing the blame game, right? So there's men, a lot of men out there, and like me included, man, me included. And I check myself when necessary, and I try my damnedest not to do it anymore. But I remember there was a mindset shift that I had. It was, I don't even know, man, like maybe 8 years ago, 10 years ago at this point. I'm not entirely sure. It was a small shift, and it started with one thing, and then it led to a bunch of other things. So let's talk about the blame game. So the blame game with guys goes a little bit like this, and it's across all avenues, right? So the blame game. If my wife treated me as X, if the economy was better, if my job wasn't like this, if I was smarter, if the news media wasn't corrupt, if the country didn't have corruption in it, if my wife just listened to me, if my kids were respectful towards me, if my church was better, if everybody dressed well at church, if we just all followed the Latin Mass instead of the Novus Ordo, if my bishop was better, if the Holy Father was better, if he was a better pope, if and it's if there was no such thing as Eucharistic ministers with white puffy hair. There's all these if things, and a lot of them revolve around religion and politics, um, masculinity in general, around marriage, around fatherhood. So here's what I need to say, and here's the realization that I came to, and that you guys all need to come to, that the blame game is it's fun to play, right? It makes you feel better about yourself, but it doesn't help anything. There's only one person that is actually going to make a difference, and that's you. So stop playing the blame game. Like, you have to take on that responsibility. If my wife treated me better, why is your wife mistreating you? Was it an upfront mistake you made in choosing her? Is it a reflection of who you were when you guys got married? Is it you didn't, properly correct your wife when she was childing you or whatever? It's a reflection on you. It's you. It's a you problem. Same thing goes with religion. Like, oh, if everybody just dressed up for mass, if everybody just had respect, start living your life with respect. Start dressing up. Oh, if only there was a men's group by me, I would definitely join. Start the men's group, man. If only my men's group was full of stronger dudes. All right, cool. Start a men's group full of stronger dudes. Like, branch off, pick a couple out, start just getting your own going on. So I guess the question there can be, hey, Rich, where do I find this stuff out? And that's a big question. So we can play the blame game with that one too. So for generations and generations, men have failed you, and that's true of them. They've failed themselves, and that's 100% true. But what you can learn from old books, and saints and the Holy Bible is how to properly act as a man, what to do and what not to do. You're not going to find a lot of this on in current movies or any of that in current type situations. There's not a lot of dudes that are like that anymore. But you can be, and you can learn from these other guys. Now, if you guys are thinking like, oh, like, why would I learn from the church or the saints or any of these things? Like, the saints just they seem so like loosey goosey. Go find some tough saints. Go find some real hardcore tough saints, and there's a lot of those out there, for men and women. And I love reading about female saints too, and I love reading about male saints. And I especially like saints that come from a militaristic background. Like they were intense dudes. You read St. Ignatius of Loyola. Guy was a soldier. You hear about St. Moses the Black. Guy was a raider and I think a slaver and a murderer. Like all tough dude. All seriously tough dude. Um, St. Benedict. Super tough dude. St. Francis. You see all the pictures with St. Francis and the animals and stuff, but like you go read his biography, you'll be floored. This guy was an intense dude, super intense guy, and not weak or wishy washy. Read about what's its name, Saint Isaac George, who came and he ministered to the Indians, and he got captured, and then he turned himself in. He got wrecked. That guy got wrecked. There's nothing soft about any of that stuff. Like Christianity is not a soft religion. Jesus wasn't flip-flop wearing dude. He wasn't a hippie. He wasn't any of that stuff. He was all dude. Son of a carpenter. Guy was swinging hammers, working hard, like crushing it every single day. Jesus Christ, our Lord, got scourged and then walked up a mount through the streets with a beam of the cross, and he carried it. Okay, guys? Like, there's nothing squishy about that. There's nothing squishy about Moses. There's nothing squishy about, you go back to Joseph, right? When Joseph went to Egypt. There's nothing squishy about being a slave, then getting thrown into prison, then ended up being basically the governor of Egypt, like just under the king, just under the Pharaoh. That's amazing. And there's a lot of value in those books. There's a lot of value even reading like old, kind of pagan books. You will see if you can start to form your mind around it and see the strength and the virtue and the masculinity in it. You have the stories of Homer, where all those men those men that were turned into swine because they were lusting, and then you have good old Odysseus that was not turned into a swine because he turned the witch down. Okay, like there's so many masculine stories out there. You got Homer, you got Virgil, you got the saints to read. Find them. And everybody has this phone in their hand now, and the phone, instead of scrolling, like, why don't you guys go look up some books? I've recommended books on this channel before. So for you guys, I would always recommend the Holy Bible. Always. Just get the Douay Rheims Bible, read it cover to cover, whatever. I did the math a long time ago. I made a video about this. It's like 3.8 pages a day, Monday through Friday, and you'll be done in like 13 or 14 months. Like easy peasy. The whole thing cover to cover. And then what you can do is when you read the whole thing cover to cover, just start over. You can read the lives of the saints. You can just go through the different saint feast days and find ones that you like and like research them, look them up, like find out. Like St. George is all tough dude. Okay, like you can read the actual real English translation back from whatever the Syriac, whatever translation, like you could find that, like, and you could order it from Amazon. It's an amazing world that we live in right now, that all this stuff is accessible and being put out there. Read the life of St. Benedict. Read the Rule of St. Benedict. You'll love it. Read De Re Militari, one of my favorite books. It's an old Roman war book. Singing about the glory times of Rome and discipline. That resonates with men, and it helps form you as a man, because there's not a lot of role models that you have right now. So you got to go find those role models. And those role models exist in old books. They don't exist in, TV series of like Mad Men or The Crown or any of that stuff. Like, it doesn't exist. You got to read old books. Go read Beowulf. Go even listen to, oh my gosh, what's that one? Enkidu and Gilgamesh, right? Just Go get a great translation, a nice modern translation of Beowulf, of Gilgamesh. You guys are going to learn a lot of stuff about what masculinity is and what it's not. The Bible. So just make a reading list and know that it's going to take years and years and years and years. But these stories and these men of old and the Bible and the saints, they're going to be your window into your masculinity because, I mean, the truth be told, we're living in a time that is that's super easy, and you need to make it harder for your own self so you can invite suffering into your life. And I've made a video about that. But you also need to get those role models. Those role models exist. They don't exist here. I'm just going to point you in the right direction. And I'm not trying to be a role model. I'm just saying, like, hey, I found a way. I would offer my own self this advice. If I was a father to myself, I would offer this advice and say, go to Mass, go to church, take care of your family, read these books, and start to shift the blame game and know that it's you that's going to make the difference. Like, not like a self-serving way, but it's your job to change the tide of your realm and your family and your headship in that family and start to get everything back on point. So if you like what I have to say, subscribe, ask me questions, whatever, share, like, out.